I gotta make sure I can do this. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, awesome. Good. All right. You already know what time it is. The theater continues. Okay. The theater continues. And well, let's look at what happened in Philadelphia yesterday. I want to make sure that people can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know in the chat if you all can hear me. I appreciate you because I'm trying something new. I'm trying to do this from StreamYard. I'm also doing it on YouTube. So please just, let me know if you can see and whatever. All right, so let's get into this. Josh. Okay, the audio's good. Okay, and then make sure you let me know when I hit this play. Let me see. Can you hear it? Let me know if you can hear this, because I'm gonna play this. Let me know. Make sure that you can hear this too.
He's a weirdo. Then you heard of my good friend and our next vice president, Tim Walz.
Can y'all hear that too? I just want to make sure. I'm trying this for the first time. I need y'all to rock with me. I need you. Okay, you good? You heard the TV sound too? You can hear the video. All right, we are good to go. Bless y'all. Appreciate y'all. All right. So listen, we already know what time it is. People thought that Vice President Harris might have picked this guy. First of all, look at his haircut. He's a goddamn Pennsylvania crease ball. He's not going to pick this guy. Okay? Like, we love him. We love him. No, we don't. But, he's not a bad governor. He's no Tom Wolf, but he's not a bad governor. So let's get into what he had to say. They said, we ain't going to pick you, but we going to let you introduce us. You know what your life got to be. But they say, we ain't going to pick you. Well, come on and introduce us. All right, so let's hear what he got to say. Little stuff. We're not going to go through this whole thing because it's long, but we'll skip around. But just get a little bit of Josh Shapiro here. All right, let me act like I know what I'm doing, producing my own shit. All right, let's go.
Because Tim Walz, in his beautiful Midwestern plain-spoken way, he summed up J.D. Vance the best. He's a weirdo. And
real quick, I want y'all to close your eyes and tell me if you could tell this is Josh Shapiro or Barack Obama speaking. Just real quick, close your eyes.
I want to talk about Tim Walz because, Philly, in a minute, he's going to come out here and I want you to give him a whole lot of love. Tim Walz is a great man. Tim Walz is an outstanding governor. Tim Walz is a teacher. Tim Walz is a guardsman.
Y'all telling me that ain't Barack Obama? Come on, y'all. That's goddamn Barack Obama. Stop playing. Welcome, everybody. Shout out to everybody.
Tim Walz is a great patriot. He is.
I don't know who's putting on the voice.
And I'll tell you what else. Tim Walz.
Okay, so does anybody just let me run it back real quick. I want you to pay attention to his head movement real quick. Let's pull it back.
He is. And
the goddamn lip bite. That Obama lip bite.
I'll tell you what else.
The eye closed. I tell you what else. That is straight out of Barack Hussein Obama's textbook speech giving.
Tim Walz is a dear friend. And I want you to know, Lori and I feel blessed to have Tim and Gwen in our lives. They are outstanding public servants. And I can't wait for you, Philly, the rest of this Commonwealth, and our entire country to get the chance to know the Wallses, the next vice president and second lady of this nation.
How many times he gonna say outstanding? We get it. It's outstanding.
Now, I think it is fitting and it is special that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have chosen to launch their campaign right here in Philadelphia.
Okay, shut up. You thought they was gonna pick you, and you got real hype when they knew they was coming to Pennsylvania. You rolled out the Temple Liquorus Stadium just for them, thinking you was gonna be the one that got chose, and they said nope, nigga, no.
The city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. And importantly, they chose to launch their campaign right here in the birthplace of real freedom.
Now. Okay.
You know, the other side, Trump and his sycophants, let me tell you something. They love to talk a good game about freedom, right? They love to cloak themselves in the blanket of freedom all the time. They love to talk a good game. But hear me on this. It's not freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read. That's not freedom.
You know, it's really interesting that the school voucher guy is talking about students reading books. Fascinating.
It's not freedom to say you can go to work, but you can't join a union. That's not freedom. It's not freedom to tell women what they're allowed to do with their bodies. That's not freedom.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead because I find him to be boring. So let's get to the part where they walk out. Okay. Listen, they know the folks in Philly, the old aunties, want to hear some classic Black sounds. Okay. They don't want this hippity hop Megan Thee Stallion. Took entirely too long for them to come out. There you go. There we go. Why did he just nudge her and point like, oh my God, look at all these people? I said on Threads, I said he looked like the goodest boy. Nice little golden retriever. Look at the brother right here. He's real serious with it. Look at the brother. He said, nope. You're not getting the paper that day. That's South Philly over there. Right behind her are all the transfers. Okay, so I just want to point out that her using Freedom by Beyonce with Kendrick Lamar on the track, the whole Freedom Beyonce and the Cowboy Carter thing. Let me tell you something about Beyonce. Giselle Carter knows. Knowles Carter, whatever the hell. She's one of the most meticulous people you will ever encounter in your mind. She is like Virgo times 1,000. So let's not act like that album is out of nowhere. That's all I'm gonna say. No. This guy is so happy. Listen to what I'm saying. Please watch him. It don't matter what she's saying. She's going to say the same shit that she's always been saying. Just watch him for the entertainment value.
Good evening.
First of all, Tim Walz his birthday is April 6th. You know who else's birthday is April 6th? Me! This guy, I'm telling you, in this moment, he is getting his whole life. There are few things we love more than a goddamn adoring crowd.
Good evening.
Woo! He said he threw his head back.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, it is good to be back in Pennsylvania.
What was he reacting to? Your man is going to have this kind of reaction for everything. Please watch him. Please. He is adorable. Please watch him.
So let me say, on behalf of myself and the first, second gentleman of the United States, my husband, Doug Emhoff, thank you for the warm welcome.
What the fuck does she keep pointing at? That's some nigga shit right there. Just want to point at every motherfucker you see. Yes, there was definitely heckler.
And let me just say, it's good to be here with all of the friends, all of the leaders who are here. I want to thank former Governor Ed Rendell, Senator Bob Casey, who we will re-elect this November.
Bob Casey, cool good.
Senator John Fetterman.
I'm sorry, guys. Please watch this man.
Mayor Sherelle Parker.
He don't like that. He don't like her either. I saw that. You saw that. He don't like her either.
And Chairman Jamie Harrison. And it is so good to be here with your incredible Governor, Josh Shapiro.
I beat you, my guy. Let me tell you something about an Aries. We want to win. Tom was like, you cool. I won, though.
And I will say, Josh is a dear, dear friend and an extraordinary leader. He and I have been spending a lot of time together over the years. And I told Josh, look, I am so invested in our friendship in doing this together, because together with Josh Shapiro, we will win Pennsylvania. We will win Pennsylvania. And I thank you, Josh. I thank you. So Philadelphia, I launched my campaign for the President of the United States a mere 2 weeks ago. And it's been a bit of a whirlwind. And just last night, the delegates to the Democratic National Convention finished voting. And so I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
He's like, clap for her, please, please clap. They're gonna clap, dude. You don't have to worry about it.
And so now we got some work to do. We need to move to the general election and win that. And to all the friends, listen, we also need to level set. We are the underdogs in this race, but we have the momentum, and I know exactly.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's why I get it. And I know, again, I'm dubbing this political theater because we all know this is a goddamn circus, right? This idea that they're the underdog, it has nothing to do with any of you watching, and everything to do with the fact that the United States cannot turn out even 70% of voters to vote in the presidential election. And they can't crack 160 million voters. And that's insanity. Okay. There are countries where people are waiting weeks to cast a vote because the vote is so precious, but they have disillusioned and disenfranchised so many people, and that so many people are apathetic and they will not vote. So anytime y'all get mad at people like me who are like, oh, no, I'm not voting for this person or whatever, but people who are otherwise actively engaged in civic, their civic duty and things like that, you need to think about the fact that they can't get folks to come out and inspire them to vote. And so her talking about them being the underdog, I've said this before, the Democrats are the majority. The Democrats are the majority in this country. I think the last thing I read is that 39% of American voters are Republican. I could be wrong. I could have shifted with all this recent shit. But there's no reason for them to ever win. And they wouldn't win without the Electoral College. So this idea that they're the underdog is no fault but their own.
Exactly what we are up against. Now, many of
Please make sure, if you're watching this, please make sure you share this live with your followers. Whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Instagram, please make sure you share it. Send some likes, all that good stuff.
Before I was elected vice president or elected a United States senator, I was an elected attorney general, and before that, elected district attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor.
Oh, she got into SVU mode. She's giving us Mariska. Okay.
So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds.
Oh, don't tell me she's going to do the Donald Trump line again.
Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who scammed consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
You don't You cannot afford to be this predictable, sis. You can't. And the build up to that. So here's the problem with that. If you're going to repeat lines, I repeat stuff all the time. You have to change up how you deliver it. Again, if there's going to be video and they're going to record every single campaign stop she makes, so people are watching online, they've already seen things. You don't have to now be in a city to see, to watch someone's campaign speech. You've at least got to deliver it differently. But you notice the way that she built up to that, right? And it was very slow. She let it sit. The crowd knew it was coming. And that's what makes it fucking corny.
So, but
also, as a public speaker, and I've said this before, long before she was even, she's not a good public speaker. She's not. And the reason why is because she is so far removed from the people, right? And we know this. Part of why so many people are excited about Walz is because he has made it very clear that he is of the people. Kamala Harris is not of the people. She is not connected to the people. She has too much money for the people. She prosecuted the people. She is removed from that. And part of being a really great public speaker is being able to read a room and pick up on the energy of the people there and to be able to connect with them. And that's why for that moment that we just saw, she let it linger a little too long. You have to keep going because she's not really sure where she's going with things.
But let me say, hold on.
Okay, and this is problematic because in case you can't make it out, the crowd is chanting, lock him up, right? That is what they were chanting with Hillary Rodham Clinton. It was problematic then, it is problematic now, and she's doing her best to quiet them because she knows that's not a good look for her campaign. You don't want to act like MAGA.
This campaign, our campaign.
But then she also encourages it by touting her prosecutor, career, and then talking about, I know his type. So she is actually encouraging people to kind of take that carceral stance with him. But then she wants to walk away from it and be like, well, I don't mean it like that.
It's not just a fight against Donald Trump. Our campaign, this campaign, is a fight for the future. It's a fight for the future.
If she don't get the Jewish grandma accent the hell on, I love it. But she's going to call somebody booby soon, okay?
In Pennsylvania, we fight for a future with affordable housing, affordable health care, affordable child care, paid leave.
Once again, she is talking about the things that they want to do, but she is not giving details about how they plan to do it. Okay.
We fight for a future where we build a broad-based economy, where every American has the opportunity to own a home, to start a business, and to build wealth.
Okay, so you're in again, and we talked about this last time, if you were here last time. Her problem is the problem with repeating the same, speech, the same stump speeches, is that you are not speaking to the place that you are in. Okay, so she was in Atlanta in front of a whole bunch of young people talking about Medicare and Social Security. They do not give a shit. Okay, they don't believe they're going to have it anyway. So why are you talking about it to them? Now you're in Philadelphia. You're in a city, the city with the highest poverty rate out of large cities. And by large cities, we mean cities with more than 1 million people. Philadelphia has the highest poverty rate, okay? Philadelphia has one of the worst public school systems in the country, okay? People graduate from Philadelphia high schools unable to read at an alarming rate, okay? You're talking about broad-based economy and talking about building wealth for people who more than 1 in 4 is living in poverty. And they have been in generational poverty, okay? So people now in Philadelphia born into poverty are 4 and 5 generations deep in it. They have not been able to build wealth. They have not been able to improve their situation. The education they're receiving is abysmal. Okay. Shout out to all the Philly teachers. I know y'all are doing the best that y'all can, but you're only doing what you can with what you've been given. Right. So you don't go to a place like Philadelphia and start talking about building wealth for people who probably didn't even have breakfast that morning. And I just want you all to do what I'm doing and pay attention to this sister's face right here. You see this sister right here where my pointer is? Pay attention to her.
We fight for a future where we bring down prices that are still too high and lower the cost of living for America's families, so that they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. We fight for a future where we
let's try here.
The middle class, a patriot who believes, as I do, in the extraordinary.
Remember the devil said, you know, Jesus said, get this devil off your screen. Oh my goodness. Am I still here? I just want to make sure. I don't know what was going on.
Ordinary promise of America.
Okay.
A promise.
Look at his face.
A promise of freedom, opportunity, and justice, not just for some, but for all.
The man loves touching his heart, by the way.
So, Pennsylvania, I'm here today because I found such a leader. Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota.
I'm sorry. Let's rewind the tape. Did he just kiss her hand? Let's try this again. Let's watch.
So, Pennsylvania, I'm here today because I found such a leader. Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota.
Oh, he came close. He came close. He wanted to kiss her hand. He wanted to.
So
he was ready.
To those who know
why is he so red? He's so red.
To those who know him best, Tim is more than a governor. To his wife, Gwen, he is a husband. To his kids, Hope.
You don't fucking say.
And Gus, he is a dad.
Is he?
To his fellow veterans, he is Sergeant Major Walz. To the people of Southern Minnesota, for 12 years, he was congressman. To his former high school students, he was Mr. Walz.
Okay, I'm sorry. Has anybody noticed the background and the folks that are there? There is easily one person representing like the majority of the groups in this nation. Has anybody noticed this? You got Black, Latino, Asian, white, South Asian, East Asian, mixed race. Everybody is in that background.
And to his former high school football players, he was coach.
Is that what they called him? Coach? Wow. Where did they do that at? I don't understand this.
Coach. And in 91 days,
he looks like the best goddamn golden retriever. Don't you just want to pet him on the head?
the nation will know Coach Waltz by another name, Vice President of the United States. So America, for some folks, they're just getting to know Coach Waltz's story. And I'll tell you, he is the proud product of a middle-class family in rural Nebraska. He is a veteran who served our nation in uniform for more than 2 decades as a member of the Army National Guard.
He is absolutely having the
and
time
he went
of
to
his
college
life.
on the GI Bill.
As a white man, he had access to the GI Bill. Ain't that great?
He is someone who long before he entered politics worked as a teacher.
So here's what's interesting. You get a lot of cheers for teaching, for him being a teacher. Meanwhile, the current mayor is piloting a program where students are going to be going to school pretty much year round. And the teachers are just, anyway.
When Coach Waltz and his wife Gwen moved from his native Nebraska to Minnesota nearly 30 years ago, they both took jobs at the local high school.
Okay, we can.
Coach Waltz
She's literally
taught
gonna be
social
talking.
studies, Gwen taught English. After school,
Look how far I have to skip. Just Philadelphia. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we are going over yesterday's campaign stops in Philadelphia, starting with Kamala Harris, Tim Waltz. She finally called him up to the stage, so we're going to listen to him. This is taking place in Philadelphia at the LaCour Center on the campus of Temple University.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for the trust you put in me, but maybe more so, thank you for bringing back the joy.
They got a whole speech written for this motherfucker, and he ain't gonna read but 10% of it. I'm already telling you this. I am an April 6th Aries public speaker. I will write a 20-page speech and read 10 lines from it. I'm telling you.
I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you and Doug, this incredible journey. And Pennsylvania, I know you know this, but my God, what a treasure you have in Josh Shapiro.
Okay, so just so you know, Aries are the biggest cheerleaders. We will big everybody up. Everybody.
Holy hell, can this guy bring the fire?
Holy hell. That is not on the script. Let's get into it, man. Come on, Tim. Holy hell.
He can bring the fire. This is a visionary leader. Also, I have to tell you, everybody in America knows when you need a bridge fixed, call that guy.
No, wait a minute. Are you talking about PA infrastructure? Now, if I'm gonna shut up.
And I think sometimes we forget, and you see people a little one-dimensional, but seeing a guy who cares so deeply about his family, a man with compassion, vision, and I'll have to tell you this, I know this from experience. There is no one you would rather go to a Springsteen concert in Jersey with than him, than that guy. Roots.
Okay. Okay. He's getting booed. I'm gonna tell you why he's getting booed. Bruce Springsteen is Jersey. It's Jersey. Why the fuck are you talking about a Jersey motherfucker when you're in Philly? We want to talk about one of the most loyal, we own this city of neighborhoods, place in the world. You talk about the city where when they have a game, you know, it could be the Philadelphia Steak-a-Knockers, and all the buses are gonna have Go Steak-a-Knockers, and like this is the most loyal. So yeah, you getting booed because you're talking about goddamn Bruce Springsteen. Who cares?
And I can't wait for all of you and America to get to know my incredible wife, Gwen, a 29-year public school educator. Don't ever underestimate teachers.
Philly teachers in the fight of their life right now.
And our two beautiful kids, Hope and Gus. I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket and to help Vice President Harris become what we all know is very, very good for us to think about. Next President of the United States of America. From her first day as a prosecutor, as a district attorney, Attorney General of the great state of California, a United States Senator, and Vice President of the United States. Vice President Harris has fought on the side of the American people. She took on the predators, she took on the fraudsters, she took down the transnational gangs, she stood up against powerful corporate interests, and she never hesitated to reach across the aisle if it meant improving people's lives.
I'm gonna shut up. Okay. You know, I heard somebody say progressive prosecutor yesterday, and I knew we were done as a people. Ain't no fucking way you talking about progressive prosecutor in the same sentence.
And I want all of you to hold this and don't ever underestimate the power of this. She does it all with a sense of joy.
Which is hard to believe. It's hard to believe. She's still nigga pointing.
I know a little something about that commitment to people.
Who is she talking to? Who is she talking to? What? Who is she pointing at and talking to?
I was born in West Point, Nebraska. I lived in Butte, a small town of 400, where community was a way of life. Growing up, I spent the summers working on the family farm. My mom and dad taught us, show generosity towards your neighbors and work for a common good.
Yeah, I heard he grew up in Nebraska. What the fuck they be doing out in Nebraska? What do you do in Nebraska but work on a farm? Shout out to my folks in Nebraska, though. Omaha, been there, love you.
My dad served in the Army during the Korean War. With his encouragement, at 17, I joined the Army National Guard. For 24 years, I proudly wore the uniform of this nation.
Look at his face. He is so very, he's darling. That's all I can say right now. He's darling.
The National Guard gave me purpose. It gave me the strength of a shared commitment to something greater than ourselves.
Wow.
And just as it did for my dad and millions of others, the GI Bill gave me a shot at a college education.
Oh, wow.
My dad was a teacher. My brothers and sisters and I followed in their footsteps. 3 out of 4 of us married teachers. What we do.
So this is good. Now, I don't know why he wasn't the presidential candidate. I mean, I do know why, because they need the Black woman for when they get into World War III and they can blame her for it. So I already understood that. But teachers being elected officials and holding high office is really, really important, because there is just something that most teachers understand about communities and the world in which they work that folks like Harris don't, right? They're teaching the children of the people she's prosecuting. And there's just something different there. You feel what I'm saying?
For nearly 20 years, I had the privilege of teaching high school social studies and coaching football.
Of course you taught social studies as a football coach, because that's what pretty much every American high school does, is they have the athletics guys teach the social studies, which is why our fucking people don't know shit now. Love you though, you're cool. But I'm just saying, like, that's just kind of how it goes. You coach football and you teach social studies because they don't want to hire people like myself.
Including winning that state championship. Thank you. Don't ever close the yearbook. Don't ever.
This guy, I won. I want you to know I won. I'm a winner. That is so airy. Oh my God, I love it. Yes, or your coach is the science teacher. Yeah, yeah.
But it was my students. They encouraged me to run for office. They saw in me what I was hoping to instill in them, a commitment of common good, a belief that one person can make a difference. So in 2006, I took a leap and I ran for Congress. And because high school teachers are super optimistic, I was running in a district that had 1 Democrat since 1892. Well, my neighbors graced me with an opportunity to represent them in the United States House of Representatives.
So what's good here is this. So this is what's good. And we don't ever need to hear this again. And we probably won't. She's introducing him to the rest of the country. Minnesotans know him. You know, a lot of folks know people that have worked with him. He's been in government for quite some time now. So some people know him. But for most people, because the United States does a horrible job teaching civics and getting people engaged enough to at least know the governor's name of every state. I mean, how many of you can name the governor of every state right now? You can't, right? You used to have to be able to do that, but they don't have to do that anymore. This is the opportunity to introduce him. And so he's got to give us this backstory. He's got to give us all of the teacher stuff. He's got to tell us about his wife, about his kids, what he likes, what he's into, what his experience has been like, because this is the first introduction that most people have to him, and they got to get it right. You know what I mean? Because they got to set the tone before the attacks come. And there's not a lot of things you can attack him on, but they will, right? So you have to, this is really good tactic.
I'm proud of the work we did there together. I worked across the aisle on veterans issues, on agriculture, and on ways to grow rural economies. I learned the art of compromise without compromising my values. And now, as governor of the great state of Minnesota, I bring those experiences to bear in tackling the challenges that are facing our great state. Minnesota's strength comes from our values, our commitment to working together, to seeing past our differences, to always being willing to lend a helping hand. Those are the same values I learned on the family farm and tried to instill in my students.
I'm sorry, is that Janelle James? Now that I'm looking at her, it kind of looked like her. I don't think it is, but it kind of looks like her.
I took it to Congress and to the state capitol. And now Vice President Harris and I are running to take those very values to the White House.
Oh, no, he absolutely has some dark secrets somewhere. He is a Gen X white man. He's got some secrets.
Now, Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand.
Well, he's not lying about that.
Mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. And that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis.
No, he didn't. He did exactly what he wanted to do.
He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
That wasn't on the script. Oh, God! That wasn't on the script, y'all! Look at her face! Look at her face! Look at her fucking face! She's kind of horrified. Her face is saying, no, the fuck you didn't. My nigga, no, you did not. I didn't pull you up here for this shit. Like she looking, she like, I didn't tell that nigga to say that. I'm gonna get him. Don't worry, y'all. I'm gonna get him. That's what she just said. I'm gonna get his ass. No, you won't. He's born on April 6th. You won't get him. Because he actually doesn't give a fuck.
You know, some of us are.
Some more lock him up chance. They gotta stop that. They gotta make sure they gotta start putting people in the audience to shut the crowd down.
Some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember.
What is happening? I see the old white guys. Look, she's laughing.
When
Does she wear dentures? Did I not know that? I didn't know shade in it. I'm just like looking now. I've never really looked much into her mouth. Does she wear dentures? That's cool.
it was Republicans
I don't know. Allegedly. I don't know.
who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make.
I like his use of neighbors, right? Because he's bringing it back to this community idea. That's not something she can connect with. So that's why he becomes important. She's not of any community. She's not part of the community. You know, not like Barack, who was a so-called community organizer. You know, she's not of her community. And so they do need somebody who represents the folks that are of the community. Oh, where did my sound go?
Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for our
Let's try this here.
So it wasn't by chance that when we...
I think it's the streaming. Can y'all hear me? Y'all let me know. Can y'all hear me? Can I get a thumbs
our
up?
daughter into the
I don't. I think we're back.
world,
Okay,
we
we're
named
back.
her Hope.
I feel like every now and then it starts to act up a little bit.
When Vice President and I talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make your own healthcare decisions. And for our children to be free to go to school without worrying they'll be shot dead in their classrooms.
Okay. Philly might not be the place you talk about this unless you're going to address the larger issue, because in the last couple of months, we have lost several students. Well, we've lost a couple of students on their way to going to school, towards the end of the school year, not the summer, but we lost some students being shot down on their way to school. We don't have school shootings here, but people are getting shot on their way to school.
By the way, as you heard, I was one of the best shots in Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws.
I don't know if Philly is where you go to brag about your shooting skills. I don't see. I keep telling I want to write for them, but no. But if I were writing his speech, I would not have talked about necessarily. I wouldn't have talked specifically about students being killed in school. I would have said a very slight change where parents don't have to worry about their children being shot on the way to school. That would have resonated deeply with Philadelphians.
Vice President Harris' idea of freedom is a ticket for education to be that ticket to the middle class, not crippling debt. Air that's clean, water that's pure, communities that are safe. A place where we settle our political differences not through violence, but with our votes.
That doesn't work. It doesn't work.
And that's what this election's about. What direction will this country go in? He's not going back. Well, Donald Trump would damn sure take us backwards. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
And don't believe him when he plays dumb. He knows exactly what Project 2025 will do to restrict our freedoms.
She really needed this guy. She cannot do this. Like, understand, she cannot connect with the audience like this. If she was white, people would be treating her worse than they did Hillary. Trust and believe me when I say that is what she has going for her. And I'm tired of people lying and pretending that it's not, because they don't want to appear like they're being shallow because they're voting for her because she's a woman, or they're voting for her because she's half black, or because she's half Indian, or whatever situation is. Cut the shit. That's why y'all voted for Barack Obama, a nigga who had no experience doing shit and who was picked to be put into that place, right? To try to garner back the popular support, right? Is exactly why she's being put here. It's because the public is losing faith in the American government. And once the public loses the faith in the American government, that's it. They will overthrow it. You saw what happened January 6th. Those folks were disgruntled. They felt disenfranchised and they were ready to burn this place down. If you lose the people, you lose the country. And they already showed between Biden and Trump, nobody really wants either of them. They put in someone that gives people a reason to connect again with the political process. And the only thing that they are connecting with, and I don't give a fuck how much y'all want to lie to me today, is that she is identified as a Black woman, as an Indian woman, as a first generation person. That is it. You said Barack did have experience. No, he didn't. Shut up. No, he didn't. I'm sorry. You took you snatched a junior senator his first term. Come on. Like, no, he didn't. And let's not lie. Okay. We know he eventually was quite experienced with deporting people and bombing people, but come on. Compared to Hillary Clinton, come on.
To rig the economy to help the super rich. If Trump gets a chance to return, he's going to pick up exactly where he left off 4 years ago.
Which was doing nothing. I don't know if people remember that. The man had over 1,400 vacant positions. Uh-oh. Am I still here? I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah. He had over 1,400 vacant positions, and I'd like people to start naming some policies and legislation that he put through.
Only this time, it will be much, much worse. Raising costs on middle-class family. He will repeal the Affordable Care Act, no doubt about it.
He didn't do it last time. Okay, I'm not like championing Trump or anything like that, but let's be honest, this is political theater. He said he was going to do that shit. He didn't do it.
He'll gut Social Security and Medicare.
He also said he was going to do that before and didn't do it.
And when somebody tells you they believe him. He said he'd ban abortion across this country, and he'll do it, whether or not Congress is there or not.
He actually said that he's going to let it go back to the states because that's what they told him to say. Donald Trump is not supporting banning abortion across the table. The people speaking for him are. And that's who we need to be concerned about, right?
Donald Trump's not fighting for you or your family. He never sat at that kitchen table like the one I grew up at, wondering how we were going to pay the bills. He sat at his country club up in Mar-a-Lago, wondering how he can cut taxes for his rich friends.
You are a running mate to a very rich woman.
And I got to tell you, his running mate shares his dangerous and backward agenda for this country.
Trump doesn't have an agenda. Okay, I'm sorry. I just have to kind of point this out. He doesn't have an agenda. That's his problem. He don't have a fucking agenda. That's why his own people hate him so much.
J.D. Vance, literally.
Stop. You know, StreamYard be messing up with the sound. All right. There you go.
That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
Let me run that back. What in the hell? What he said?
And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
Did he just explain his own joke? Look at her face. She's like, oh, shit. Did he just make a J.D. Vance couch joke? You see what the title of this is? Political Theater with Dr. T. Because this shit is all political fucking theater. Okay? First of all, the Democrats know that the conservatives are making sexual jokes about Vice President Harris, talking about how she sucked dick to get to the top and she's just fucked her way to the top and that she's not qualified and all this stuff. They have a lot of memes about her that are sexual in nature. I posted some of them on my Instagram. Why would they think it's okay to then go and make sexual jokes about JD Vance, right? I'm sorry, the couch thing is kind of corny. Maybe I'm just too old, but I just think it's corny because you can't out of one side of the mouth say that it's wrong for them to make sexual jokes about Harris, and then on the other side of your mouth, you're laughing at the sexual jokes about JD Vance. Like, again, but I don't expect people to be on that because all y'all a bunch of fucking hypocrites any goddamn way. The people that are funding Kamala Harris's campaign just ousted Cori Bush and planted one of their fucking informant plants and pushed her out just like they did Jamal Bowman. And who's going to be next? Rashida Tlaib, okay, Ayanna Pressley, AOC, they're all next. And you're upset about that. But the people that are doing it are the ones that are funding her campaign. So you got to pick a side at some point. But I know y'all can't because y'all fucking hypocrites. And that's okay. I love y'all still. I love you with all my heart. Can't help but be hypocrites because you live in a settler colony, okay, on stolen land that was toiled by enslaved people. You don't know any other way to be an American than to be a hypocritical, violent piece of shit. And that's okay. Some of us have divested and we are growing or what have you. But y'all laughing at the couch jokes. You can't be mad when they make the sex jokes about her.
Look. I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see.
Well, they finally got the weird originator to come and drop the line. Didn't have the same impact that I thought it would. She's also disappointed. It didn't zing the way it should have. You can see it in her face.
So you know what's out there, so say it with me. We aren't going back. We aren't going back. We are not going back.
So notice he said we aren't going back. And they said, and her thing was, we're not going back. So that's interesting. Yes, the context of the couch joke is people have been saying that JD Vance admitted to having sex with a couch, or that he used to, like, I guess maybe masturbate with his couches. That has not been proven true. It's a meme. It's been going on, and it's a way to slight him. And I'm like, you got all these other things you could be talking about, this lying-ass fraud, right? This coastal elite who is pretending to be Appalachian, and you want to focus on whether or not he had sex with a couch. Like, again, you're no better than them. And that's what I need people to understand. When I call this political theater, you're all playing a role in it, right? The audience plays a role. You're no better than MAGA. You're just not. And it's okay. If you can accept that and say, I am no better than MAGA voting for Donald Trump, then go on and do what it is that you do. But when you pretend that you're somehow above them or better than them, but yet you engage in the same exact tactics and the same kind of shit that they do, you're not better than them. And just own it.
So we got 91 days. My God, that's easy. We'll sleep when we're dead.
That is extremely Aries. I'm still working on my emotional abusive relationship with this idea that I'll sleep when I'm dead.
over those next 91 days and every day in the White House, I'll have Vice President Harris's back every single day. And we'll have yours.
That would have been a great opportunity to refer to her as president, but they missed it.
You know how this works. We can't do it alone. We need you, each and every one of you. Go over to KamalaHarris.com, get on board, because we need you. Freedom to make our own choices. This leader, this compassionate, careful, joyous leader believes in each and every one of you.
I want someone to believe in me like he believes in Kamala Harris.
My God, you came here tonight to sit at the very top because you love this country and you're not going back.
I think they went because it was a chance to see this live. That's what I was gonna go. I just like to be in.
She believes in the opportunity for every single person to join the middle class. She believes in the promise of America.
Okay, well that's great, but let's get to let's see. Hold on. Let me stop sharing because I want to pull up Vance. Because I bet that's gonna be fun. Yeah, I mean, I know I sound kind of harsh, but we're gonna be real or we're gonna not be real. Like, we're gonna, like I said, progressive prosecutor is the dumbest shit I've heard in a very long time. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, let's share this, baby. Because we're gonna see what he says. Let's see, share the screen, and we are going to do that. Yes, let's share it. All right. Let's get the full screen action. And let's go. Oh, who is this sister over here? Oh, come on, already? Why is there a sister over here? Oh, man. Let's go. All right. Extra security. Sorry. I know the fuck they not playing that gay ass shit. I love it. They are playing the gayest shit ever. Y'all heard the Village people? Talking about my body. Oh, yes. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Senator J.D. Vance.
Already the vibes are off. The vibes are off.
Why don't we liberate these United States?
He said, I ain't touching you, nigga. Your man wanted the picture. He wanted to shake his hand. J.D. Vance was like,
We're the ones who need.
There we go. We had to get him back.
The rest of the world.
Because talk to the black people there.
Change and let's
they positioned them very well.
Our highways and bridges are falling.
This is gonna be fun.
Who's blessed? Who has been cursed? There's things to be done all over the world.
Let's count. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
5 black people behind
Well,
me.
it's great to be in South Philly, isn't it?
6.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say a few brief words, and I thank you all so much for being here.
I'm sorry. Why does it look like, you know how you go to the bootleg festival because you can't afford to really go to the nearest amusement park? So you go to the local bootleg one and you hope that you don't die getting on the rides. This reminds me, like, I feel like we were just at Six Flags and now we're at like Action Park.
I'm going to introduce some folks who have been affected by Kamala Harris's disastrous policies, because I think it's important to put a human face on the disaster that has been Kamala Harris and to remind the American people this is why we need President Donald J. Trump, because normal people benefit when he's the president of the United States. But first, let me say just a few words, and then we'll take some questions from reporters. But let me just start out by saying that Kamala Harris has been such a disaster as vice president of this country that everywhere she goes, chaos and uncertainty follow.
Okay, that's not true. And I'll tell you why it's not true, because Kamala Harris hadn't done anything as a vice president. So that's a lie.
We have got a war in Europe. We have got a war in the Middle East that threatens to spiral out of control. We've got chaos in the world financial markets. Everything that Kamala Harris touches has been a disaster.
I'm sorry. Pause. Is he suggesting that Kamala Harris is responsible for the Russian war against Ukraine and the Israeli war against? Okay. I wanted to make sure everybody else heard that too.
And we have got to kick her out of the United States government, not give her promotion. Now, today in particular, I've already met with some people who have really suffered because of Kamala Harris's border policies. And let's just count the ways in which our borders.
Oh, I know that people get paid. Somebody said people forget that they get paid to stand in the room. Oh, I know that they get paid. But you gotta say, like, what are you willing to sacrifice and compromise? I guess if your back is against the wall and you need some money, it don't really matter in the end. But I can just hope that the people that are standing there are people that support, because when they got to go back to their neighborhoods, how are they going to, deal with that, right?
Are open the American southern border. On day one, Kamala Harris suspended deportations. On day one, Kamala Harris stopped the Remain in Mexico policy.
I don't know if I can sit through this, actually, because I'm trying to, like, I have a long experience with liars and gaslighters. And there's something that they seem to enjoy about it. And I'm picking up from him a pleasure in lying.
Policy that kept our country safe. On day one, border czar Kamala Harris, she stopped construction of the southern border wall. And on day one, she proposed amnesty for millions of illegal aliens in this country. And we know
that is not true, but okay.
That every time Kamala Harris took an action to open the American southern border, it is families like many of those who stand behind me today who have suffered the most. And now, for the past 2 weeks, Kamala Harris has been saying that she wants a promotion. I think we ought to say to Kamala Harris, you're fired, and rehire Donald J. Trump as President of the United States.
She didn't do anything on day one. She hasn't done anything. But that's their thing, is that now they are just going to put everything on her and act like the vice president actually has, power.
Now, I want to get everybody's name here, but before I do, I just want to say I'm not going to be able to introduce everybody I've spoken to just this morning and early this afternoon. But you've got people who have lost loved ones just in the last few weeks to gun violence because we won't lock up violent criminals in this country anymore, thanks to the policies of Kamala Harris. You've got children who have been orphaned, who have been bouncing around foster homes because Kamala Harris's policies allow this terrible.
Is he wearing mascara?
Fentanyl into our country that orphan these poor kids. And you've got parents who have lost loved ones, who have lost children because we keep on allowing the Mexican drug cartels to turn our country into a drug trafficking zone. It is normal people who suffer when Kamala Harris refuses to do her job, and it is normal people who stand to benefit the most when we re-elect Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. And that's what we're going to do, right? That's exactly what we're going to do. So I want to make sure I get these names right, but I want to thank Dave Torres for being here. Great American. Amanda Navarro is here with us. We've got Jack Kilkus and we've got Terry Stark. Again, these are people whose loved ones have suffered and in some cases died because Kamala Harris doesn't do her job. And
your loved one didn't die because Kamala Harris didn't do her job. Your loved one died because of a drug overdose, because Big Pharma has been pumping drugs into American families.
And I want to invite a few people up to just give some personal testimony. And before I do, I want to say what amazing personal courage it takes to be here and to be willing to offer your personal story. I know it's not easy, and I know this is sad, heart-wrenching stuff, but the American people need to understand what are the consequences of screwing up this election. And so I appreciate you all being here very much. So first, I want to start with Denise and Mike Trask. Trask, you guys want to come up here? Thank you all. God bless you.
Thank you for having us today. Our daughter Jacqueline is the oldest of our 5 children. Jack was always a fearless, free spirit who was full of adventure and sometimes mischief. I'm proud to selfishly boast that we've raised our kids with good morals, values, and kind hearts. We are a God-loving and God-fearing family that never would have imagined we'd go through the devastation and torment of addiction. Yet
God-fearing still makes absolutely no sense to me. But anyway.
Here it was, directly impacting our lives. It crept right under our front door into our home and had no regard that our baby was a good girl, that our family was a grateful and prayerful unit, or even that my own husband was a Philadelphia narcotics officer. We learned fast that addiction knows no race, no religion, no economic status, and has no limits. It was devastating to endure, the most helpless thing imaginable as her parents. We tried any and everything possible. After a few years of complete hell, Jack reached her bottom. She admitted herself into an amazing program called FRAT, First Responders Addiction Treatment, at the Living Foundation. Jacqueline was an EMT. She got herself clean and sober, and we got our daughter back. She lived 2 beautiful years in sobriety and shared her story at numerous meetings in and around Philadelphia. She touched people when she spoke. If you were blessed to be in her company, you'd never forget her. Her heart was gold and fair and never critical. Life was amazing once again for Jack and for our family. That is until May 1st, 2016, when she had a lapse in judgment, when she had an awful trigger.
She said 2016, right?
When she had tunnel vision of only one thing and bought herself a bag of heroin that, of course, was laced with fentanyl.
She said 2016, correct?
And our 26-year-old daughter died of an accidental overdose.
What that got to do with what's happening today?
In her car, in a mall parking lot, in broad daylight, alone. We like to think of Jack's passing as God's way of relieving her from her pain. It helps us cope with our constant heartache and great loss.
Shut up. We like to think God, her dying is God relieving her pain. No, shut up. 2016.
We imagine that he saw how broken she was and that he freed her from the struggles she was battling with. He took her home with him, and one day we will all be reunited with her.
Your daughter was a basehead. She ain't in no heaven. I'm sorry. Full disclosure, I don't believe in any of that stuff, but come on.
There's great comfort in that. Our added note here to Jacqueline's story is yes, heroin, cocaine, alcohol, pills, all of the street drugs out there are lethal in and of themselves. But the fentanyl coming right into our country, our cities, and our neighborhoods
from China
is killing thousands and thousands of people every day. It's tremendously deadly, and we're losing our loved ones at an alarming rate because of its potency and infestation.
More fentanyl is coming directly from China than it is from our southern border. Just want to point that out.
Into the illegal drug market.
Alcohol sure ain't a street drug. And listen, I did a thing on this where I said, you know, we are so messed up that, you know, especially in Philadelphia, people are rejecting syringe exchange programs where people who are active users of injectable drugs can go get clean needles, have a safe space to inject, can be monitored, can be offered supportive services, all those kinds of things, you know, as a form of harm reduction. People are against that, right? Because they say they don't want the people in their neighborhoods. But people fully accept and embrace bars, right? A bar is where you go to have your drug measured out and distributed to you. You pay for it. Somebody that's there to monitor and make sure that you don't drink too much. And if you're about to leave and you're entirely too intoxicated, they'll take your keys and make sure you can't drive, right? Of course, you know, a lot of these bars have parking lots, which absolutely makes no sense either. But the fact is that we're okay with safe use sites, safe consumption sites, as long as they're called bars. But we're not okay with safe consumption sites that allow people to use heroin.
The border travesty that this current administration has neglected, allowed, and even supported is infuriating and, quite frankly, complete lunacy on multiple levels.
One of the most destructive like drugs that people use are cigarettes. Okay. And I say this as somebody who has smoked off and on for the last 30 years. There's few things that are more harmful than that. But okay.
I pray we get ahead of it. I pray our borders are secured once again. I pray for all those affected by addiction and all of its ugliness. I pray it never touches my other children who work every day as public servants for this city as a police officer and a medical professional. And lastly, I pray that our country is restored again, safe again, respected again, economically stable again, and elects our former President Donald J. Trump again, along with U.S. Senator J.D.
Now I heard her say that her daughter died in May of 2016. So who was president in May 2016? That was Barack Obama. Okay. Your child died while Barack Obama was in office. Trump wasn't even a thought. Okay. So Trump is going to help you. You want to go back to that life? No disrespect, but your daughter was already dead. So I'm trying to understand the connection to Trump.
Vance as his vice president in November. Lord, hear our prayers and let's make America great again.
The Porter-in-Chief, okay, is when they open them damn borders back up and stop deporting. Let me stop.
Thank you both so much for that testimony. And I now want to introduce Geraldine Briggs, who again is another American who has suffered because of.
I'm just pausing because I know that the thing may reset a little bit. But this is what I'm saying. They couldn't find somebody who died of fentanyl under Biden. Got to be someone somewhere, right? They're like, come on.
Of these terrible policies that we have. So thank you to the Trask for your incredible courage. And Geraldine, would you come say a few words too?
He said another person who has suffered because of the terrible policies that we have. But the policies that were under the Obama administration would have allowed for her daughter to get treatment and have it paid for through the Affordable Care Act. And she would have been able to do what she wanted to do. Your daughter picked up the drugs. Your daughter went to go shoot up because she wanted to get high. It's not her fault that there was fentanyl there. We need to talk about our relationships with the Chinese and why we keep letting them send it over here. Oh, it be because the local governments are using it to put it into the drugs and make the money off of the street drugs because they control all the traffic, the drug trafficking and the street drugs that we have, and they're not going to ever stop it. And does anybody understand this, or am I just okay? I'm alone here. I'll be on an island. I'll go ahead. Oh, what the fuck she gonna say? Here we go.
I would just like to start by saying thank you in advance for listening with an open heart and not a dismissive ear. As a young melanated woman from Philadelphia,
No, I don't think I can do this. She called herself a young melanated woman from Philadelphia. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this. We're going to do it anyway.
I feel compelled to address the opioid crisis that is affecting our communities in Philadelphia. And a city that I love has been impacted by crime. I've watched.
People not from Philadelphia, just want you to know she has the quintessential Black person from Philly accent. Okay, the accent.
An incline in numbers of homeless people, drug addicts, and murderers.
Drug addicts.
Than ever before, dare I say it, since President Biden has been in office. Democrats' soft on crime policies have led to the city I once knew to become unrecognizable.
I just want to point out, Democrats have run this city for as long as she's been alive. So I don't know what she's talking about.
Unfortunately, I've had to deal with witnessing opioid addiction firsthand. For many years now, I have a brother that battles with this addiction. Today, way more than before, it's too easily accessible, which means it doesn't stop in our communities. These are not racially profiled drugs. The rehabilitation centers prove.
What is a racially profiled drug? My God, today.
This crisis knows no demographic, income, family history. It affects millions nationwide. Democrats claim to have cleaned up the streets in Philadelphia, but it has not worked.
Democrats have never claimed to clean up the streets of Philadelphia. They just now, for the first time in forever, took some damn streets cleaners to the goddamn streets.
The border crisis has led to an influx of drugs.
You said, why they focus on addiction? They're focusing on addiction because it's tying into the so-called border crisis. They are trying to say that Kamala Harris is herself alone responsible for people bringing drugs across the southern border. So that's what that narrative is about.
Coming across the border and impacting families like mine throughout the city. This crisis has gotten even worse under Biden-Harris.
I just want to point out, Philadelphia has a large Chinatown. You know what? People come to that Chinatown from all over the world. You know where they don't come through? They don't come through southern borders. I would like her to explain how being up in Philadelphia. You know what? I'll just shut up.
Biden and Harris are not doing anything to help us. What would it change under Kamala? What happens when it hits your...
Oh, they even got her saying her name wrong.
Your neighborhoods, your homes. My mother keeps Norcaine in her closet just in case my brother does not awake on his own after taking drugs.
She said Norcaine, which is Philadelphia for Narcan.
You can purchase opioids from just about anywhere besides in-store purchase. And what are Democrats doing about this? Nothing. Democrats have and continue to turn a blind eye, bringing the crime rates all the way up.
That's not true. Crime in Philadelphia is like at the lowest it's been in years.
People are killing to steal it. People are killing to maintain territory, selling it. And people are killing themselves using it. I'm sorry. Murders are going unsolved. People continue to die. A lot of us continue to live in fear in our communities. We need leaders who will restore our once beautiful cities and towns. We need leaders who will not make us walk into a drugstore and have to ask an attendant to get an Advil, everyday items out of locked glasses.
Well, that's because niggas keep stealing. But they're stealing because they're poor and they need help. They need jobs. They need money, you know, like.
Because the store gets robbed every day. We need President Donald Trump and Senator J.D. Vance to be our next president and vice president. or our beloved Philadelphia will continue to spiral. This has to end, and I am proud to be one of the voices that stand against it.
If I was a betting woman, her brother's not the only one.
Thank you, Senator Vance, I'm sorry. And thank you, Donald Trump. Please, I really, really hope we win this, and I really, really have faith in this. Thank you so much.
It's tough not to admire the courage of the two families behind me, but I have to ask, why is it necessary? Why are they suffering? And the answer is because we have a leadership that is failing them. I want to tell my own personal story here because it touches on a little bit of what they.
I don't know what she was paid to be on that damn stage. I just wanted somebody to tell her that that black bra was not going to work with that white Shein dress.
They talked about, I remember when my own mom struggled with addiction, and my grandmother raised me for a big chunk of my early life.
Just in case people don't know, his mother was like a nurse, and she stole medication from her patients, and that's how she got hooked on drugs. And well, no, she was hooked on them first, and then she began to steal opioids from her patients.
And I remember after one particularly bad overdose, sitting beside her bed and being just angry that mom had taken this stuff to begin with, but then just desperately hoping and praying, Jesus, please let her wake up from this. And that's what addiction does to our families. It sort of combines this incredible frustration, but also we still love the people who suffer, and we still want them to get better, even when we're frustrated.
And for those wondering, yes, Philly has a very huge problem. We have the largest open air drug market in the world. In Kensington and Allegheny. It's called K&A for a reason. It is the largest open air drug market in the world. So it is a big issue here. And it's one that disproportionately affects white people.
When they take a wrong turn. But what I got with my mom, who's been clean and sober for nearly 10 years now. Thank you. And hearing these stories, I almost feel guilty that I got it. But I'm so grateful that we got that second chance with my mom, because now I've got, my oldest kid is 7 years old, and the only thing that he knows about mom is that she's the best grandma a boy could ask for.
Well, no, now she knows that your mama was a basehead, because you keep talking about it.
And
that boy gonna be watching YouTube. He gonna be like, Mommy, did Grandma Vance or Bowman or whatever the hell her name is, did she used to use smack?
I want more of you and more of the families here in Philadelphia to get that second chance with a loved one. I want them to have another opportunity to get back on that horse and get clean, knowing that sometimes they're going to fall off the horse, but we want to give them another opportunity to get back on. I want a leadership that makes our streets safe enough where kids can make a mistake without it taking their lives from them.
You don't say. You don't say. You'd like to have a place where a kid, and you're in Philadelphia, can okay, you know what?
I want a country where our leaders put the interests of our citizens first, and I want Donald J. Trump to be back in the White House because he's the only person running who is going to do exactly that. Now, I want to say just two things here before I take some questions from the media. The first is, again, thank you all for being here. Seriously, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. We could do so much better. We could do so much better in this country with better leadership. We could give kids those second chances, and we could make sure that the next time we're here in Philadelphia, we're hearing stories of triumph and hope, of second chances successful, and not of kids who have lost their lives.
You could have had many of those stories if you decided to show them or have those people speak. You could have had plenty. You could walk out from wherever rickety spot y'all in right now and find somebody on the street that could have gave you a positive story for free.
We've just got to have better leadership. But the second message I want to leave you with, and this is for the media, because there are real stories to tell. There are real heartbreaks and real stories of hope and triumph. But there is a person who is asking, she's going to be here later today, Kamala Harris, our border czar, is asking the American people to make her the next president of the United States.
Keep calling her a border czar. And first of all, a lot of people don't know what a czar is.
States, and yet for 16, thank you. And yet for 16 days and counting, the American media has been unable to ask her a question. Now, agree or disagree with me and President Trump, nobody would dispute that we will go anywhere and we will talk to anyone and we will answer any question because
didn't Trump just say he wasn't going to debate on the original date that was scheduled?
we will answer any question because we think we owe it to the American people to try to persuade them instead of running from them. And that's what Kamala Harris has done. She is running a basement campaign where she refuses to go before the free press and actually answer their questions. Well, what kind of an election can you have if your own presidential candidate won't actually answer tough questions?
What the fuck is he talking about?
And so I'd ask the American media to show a little bit of shame and to demand that before you give Kamala Harris your endorsement, and that's what the media has done, you at least force her to answer some tough questions and to stand before the American people and persuade them. Thank you. Kamala Harris ought to stand before the American people and persuade them of why she's the right choice.
Oh, no, he's right about that part, though. He's right about that part. She got to start telling people what she's actually going to do because Elizabeth Warren got more plans than she does.
She ought to answer for the fact that she wanted to ban fracking and now she allegedly doesn't. She ought to answer for the fact that she wanted to defund the police. She ought to answer for the fact that she opened up the American southern border, and she ought to.
Hi, he slides by the defund the police thing a lot because Kamala Harris does not want to defund the police. If she wanted to defund the police, she might actually have more support than she does. So I don't understand why he's choosing that particular narrative.
Ought to answer for the fact that groceries are unaffordable and housing is unaffordable because of her policies. So to the media, please.
Again, this idea that all of this stuff is happening because of her policies, when it's their narrative is that she's been pulling the strings and that Biden has just been a figurehead, and that's what they're running with.
Please, for the love of God, do a better job. The American people demand it. Thank you all for being here. God bless you guys. I love you all. And I'm especially grateful to the folks behind me for offering testimony so people can understand what the consequences are of failed leadership. God bless you all and thank you.
No.
All right. Calm down. We've got to give the fake news a few questions here. I'm sure we have hopefully a few honest journalists here in the audience. Ma'am.
They don't even make sure that they.
So first of all, the reason I didn't say a whole lot about Tim Walz is because the Democrats have showed a willingness to pull a little switcheroo on us. So I don't even know if we're actually going to get Tim Walz out of this campaign. And I think that a lot of us are asking ourselves, well, it's not going to be official until the Democrats actually nominate him, I guess, at their convention next week. So
no, I think he got eyeliner tattooed on him. I don't think this is an everyday job. I think that he has it tattooed.
that's the first reason. The second reason is, look, Tim Walz's record is a joke. He's been one of the most far left radicals in the entire United States government at any level.
No. So this idea of far left radical, there hasn't been a far left radical representing the liberals or the left since Reconstruction. And the most radical person or progressive person that we've seen legislatively since then was Lyndon B. Johnson, a notorious racist. So again, this is what you'll believe this stuff if you don't study and you haven't gone to a good school, got a good education, know anything about American history. The Democratic Party is like allergic to radicalism. Okay. You said you can't find any policy stuff on her website anywhere. Does she have plans? She does have plans. They issue policy briefs all the time. They don't say much, but they have them. One of the things they want to do, for example, when I had pointed out that Project 2025 was talking about how they wanted to make sure that doulas were covered by Medicaid, Kamala Harris, her plan is also to do the same. So, but you won't know this stuff. This stuff, it's got to be emailed to you. You got to be in the loop. And that's part of the goddamn problem,
But I think that what Tim Walz's election says is that Kamala Harris has bent the knee to the far left of her party, which is what she always does. Kamala Harris listened to the Hamas wing of the party. She selected Tim Walz, a guy who wants to ship more manufacturing jobs to China, who wants to give illegal aliens driver's license, and who...
I just want to pause and make sure that you all caught that he said the Hamas wing of the party. Okay.
Wants to make the fentanyl crisis that we just heard about so much worse because he refuses to do his job and actually make it easier for American citizens and not illegal aliens to live a good life. So I think what it says is that Kamala Harris is running as a San Francisco liberal. She is governed as a San Francisco liberal, and she's chosen a running mate who will be a San Francisco-style liberal. The last thing that I'll say about Tim Walz is, to her credit, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz do make an interesting team, because if we remember the rioting in the summer of 2020, Tim Walz was the guy who let rioters burn down Minneapolis, and then Kamala Harris was the one who bailed the rioters out of jail. So there's an interesting team in that sense. Sir. Well, if you build a 100-foot wall, you're going to have a lot fewer illegal aliens coming into this country, and it's obvious, and it worked when Donald Trump was president. Look, no one has ever said a wall keeps out 100% of illegal aliens, but if it keeps out 98%, I'd say we're doing pretty good. And that means less fentanyl.
No wall is going to keep out 98% of immigrants. And they keep talking about fentanyl, which is being flown in and arriving via ships from China.
Less drugs and less crime coming into our community. So I was at the border just a few days ago. It's a lot hotter down there in South Arizona than it is here in Philadelphia. And I remember.
I think he meant 100-foot vertical, not like long. I think he means like 100 feet up into the air. Now I'm 6 feet tall. 6 into 100, that's 160. That's about 16 me's. I'd have to climb up 16 people to get over that wall. I could do it.
Seeing the slats of border wall just sitting on the ground. And why are they sitting on the ground instead of being constructed? Because Kamala Harris said you're not allowed to construct a border wall anymore. That means more fentanyl in South Philly. That means
actually, Kamala Harris never said any such thing.
Means more orphan children. That means more suffering Americans, and we can't let Kamala Harris forget it.
He said more fentanyl in South Philly, and the real problem is in North Philly. But okay,
ma'am.
To congratulate him, to say he's won for the right after he was chosen as vice president here.
Could you repeat the beginning of that? I missed the first one.
Earlier today, you said that you called Governor Walz, so clearly at least part of you believes that he could be the vice presidential candidate. Are you saying that you will not debate him, or will you agree to go on the debate stage with Tim Walz?
No, I absolutely want to debate Tim Walz, but I want to debate him actually after he's actually officially the nominee. And I did call him and congratulate him and offered him my best wishes. I think that's the polite thing to do. But look, would it shock me if the Democrats pulled another switcheroo? No, it wouldn't. So look, we're going to wait until they actually nominate Kamala Harris and Tim Walz before we do any debates. And then, of course, we want to have a robust debate again, because we believe the American people have the right to have their political leaders try to persuade them. And that is what's so scandalous about Kamala Harris's basement campaign. 16 days she has been the presumptive nominee of the Democrat Party. 0 times she has sat for a real media interview.
Because she is not officially okay. But anyway, political theater. Right? You're supposed to have your conventions, and then you nominate, and then you go from there. So he's supposed to understand that. He doesn't, because he's an author and he wanted to be an actor in Hollywood. And but anyway, he said the Hamas wing of the Republican of the government, and it's really interesting because she is funded by AIPAC. She's like literally bought, sold, controlled by AIPAC. So it's always kind of ridiculous when he says things like the Hamas wing. I don't know why he keeps talking about basements.
That's a disgrace. Nobody should ask to lead the American people unless she's willing to answer tough questions. And if she's too afraid of the American media, how is she possibly going to deal with Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping and a bunch of world leaders all over the globe? Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you now. Well, my message to voters who want to see less division, look, I want to see less division as well, but division starts at the top. And you saw Donald Trump, who took a bullet 2 weeks ago and called for national calm and unity. That is.
He did not take a bullet. Bullet didn't touch him. His ear got nicked by a fragment of something else. Just want to make sure that we're fact checking.
The kind of unifying message that we need in this country. But we're not going to have real unity in the United States of America when you have a border czar who's running as president of the United States who welcomed cartels and welcomed drugs into our communities. The division comes from bad leadership. We fixed it.
He is definitely a politician, though, because he's a greaseball. He's like what I think Josh Shapiro is. He's very good, very slick, fast talking, slides things in, makes enough connections with certain words and ideas to link to her, calling her a border czar, talking about the Hamas wing, saying that she welcomed cartels. Like, none of this stuff is true. But if you say it enough times to people who can't read, it will become true.
The bad leadership, and I think we have a great country from people from all political walks of life. Unity will come, but only after we get rid of the bad leadership. And you asked about the strategy. Look, the strategy is simple. We know that there are 6 or 7 states that are going to decide this election. We think that it is shameful that Kamala Harris is running from tough questions from the media. So I'm going to go to every single battleground state that I can. I'm going to answer tough questions. I'm going to talk to people because that is the minimum that you should do if you want to be the president.
Also, it's worth noting that he's actually following her on the campaign trail. So every stop that she has planned to make, they're sending him to the same city the same day. That's corny, but could also be effective.
President or vice president of the United States of America. In the red, man. And then behind you in the white shirt. Yeah.
Shapiro, do you see him as an easier candidate?
Well, look, the only thing I'll say about Josh Shapiro is I genuinely, there's some fans out here. I genuinely feel bad that for days, maybe even weeks, the guy actually had to run away from his Jewish heritage because of what the Democrats are saying about him. I think that's scandalous and disgraceful. Whatever you believe or whatever disagreements on policy you have about somebody, the fact that that race, the vice presidential race on the Democratic side, became so focused on his ethnicity, I think is absolutely disgraceful, and it's insulting to Americans, whatever background you're from.
What ethnicity is he talking about? Josh Shapiro is Jewish. He's a white Jewish guy.
But look, I'm not relieved or non-relieved about who Kamala Harris chose because, look, Kamala Harris is the problem. Kamala Harris was the border czar. Kamala Harris has had the policies that have caused so many people to needlessly suffer. We're going to run against Kamala Harris because she's the problem, and she's the one asking to be the people's president of the United States. Though I'd say she's not actually asking. She's given teleprompter speeches. She's given scripted remarks. She's not actually doing the bare minimum we should expect of a person who wants to be the people's president. Yeah.
The choice of Tim Walz, the argument that was made for him is that he will help Democrats in the Midwest with white working class voters, perhaps. Can you address that argument?
Look, I'm skeptical that whoever the VP nominee is, most people are voting at the top of the ticket. But here's the thing about Tim Walz. Look, Tim Walz is a guy who wants to take children away from their parents if the parents don't agree to do sex changes and the school wants to. That's crazy, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I'm going to end it here, y'all. No, we're not going to get into that. I try. Listen, I'm gonna right. I want to keep doing this, right? I like this. What do you think about this new format? I'm using StreamYard. I am streaming on YouTube so I can see the comments from the YouTubers. I can see the comments from Instagram because I have it opened over here too. But I can't pull them into the stream. I wish I could because then I'd put them up here and all that stuff like that. I'm going to continue to do this. I like doing this. To me, again, it's all political theater, and it's very important for you all to understand. I feel like I have to reiterate this every single time. I am not a Donald Trump supporter. I do not want Donald Trump to win the election. I think he's a buffoon. I am also someone who understands fully that this is all political theater and that we as so-called voters don't actually have much of a say in who gets to be the president of the United States. so much of this is about making sure that we feel like we are a part of the process because we are part of, the populace. The minute you lose the confidence of your population, of your citizens, the minute they stop feeling like this is part of, their responsibility, citizenship rights and stuff like that, they will start to move towards, overthrow, because they will not accept a government that does not allow that. So they have to maintain this illusion that we are active participants in this process when we know good and goddamn well we are not. If we were, we would not have an electoral college. If we were, Hillary Clinton would be president. If we were, so many things would be different, right? And I'm old enough to see how the shifts have happened, okay? So if we're talking about Reagan, right? That's the first president that I, experienced and remember. Well, I should say remember, because I was there. I was born right before him. But anyway, we go from Reagan, right, who has this trickle-down economics nonsense that doesn't work, it'll never work, or whatever. But we start seeing so many major shifts in what's happening in American politics because we are really moving towards the economic stuff. We're talking about in the 70s, I believe it was 78, we had our last major inflation and all the prices stuck there. And I think that there was a major shift kind of economically looking at what the possibilities were, particularly as like a CEO or something like that. And we never used to see CEOs making 200-300 times more money than the average workers. We don't start seeing that happen until Reagan is president, right? So he changes that whole thing. And because more people are making this kind of money and because they're doing all this stuff, they start changing the taxes to make sure that they can keep more of their money and all this bullshit, right? Then we get Bush, right? And we get a war. War is not good, okay? War almost guarantees that you're going to be either a one-time president or you're going to be coming back again if the war is still going on, right? Okay, boom. After that, we get Clinton. Clinton years are like the fucking golden age of America, right? It's like our modern gilded age, right? Everybody was making money. All the motherfuckers from the North and New York were leaving. They were going down to Atlanta. That's why now 2 generations later, all these folks that say they from Atlanta got grandparents and parents from New York City because of Clinton. Clinton got everybody money. We had the dot-com boom, right? Everybody got rich. We had a surplus in our budget. I don't know if people remember that. America had a surplus under Clinton. So everybody was riding that wave. Never mind all the fucking social bullshit that he did between TANF and the crime bill and all this shit that made life for African Americans and other Black folks living in this country exponentially worse. All of our immigrant folks, our Latin folks, made life exponentially worse for all of them. Unless you were an upper class person like Diddy and others who were able to capitalize on that, right? Cool. Then we go into the second Bush and we get another war, or we get more wars, right? Because 9/11 happens. 9/11 changes everything we thought we knew about American politics because Bush should have never won in the first goddamn place. And there are some people, I'm not saying I'm one of them, but there are some people who believe that 9/11 only happened because he was president and because it was retribution for how his father had treated the folks in the Middle East. Because remember, the United States had a good relationship with the bin Ladens. And listen, I don't have time to go into that today, but you understand what I'm saying. And a lot of people saw 9/11 as retribution for Bush Sr.'s fuck-ups and screw-ups, right? That election was stolen. Right? Like, so when we go into Gore v. Bush, the shit was stolen. And we all know it. And it changes the trajectory of the United States. And that's when many folks who are following me and stuff like that start gaining their political consciousness because it's 2000, it's whatever. Okay, so then what ends up happening there? The dumbing down of America, right? We get No Child Left Behind in 2001. We get the housing crisis because George Bush decides to lower the standards for getting homes, which led to predatory lending, which put a lot of people who could not afford to buy homes, put them in homes that they could not afford. So then we end up with a housing crisis of 2000 from 7 to 9. Let's be real, right? So we've got post 9/11, we got 9/11 kills thousands of people, housing crisis, all of this under GWB, and they're like, we have to course correct because, oh my God, The people of America are not feeling this shit. We got to give them something. They are going to start to riot. They are going to start to protest. They are going to start to want to overthrow this shit because we are fucking up so bad in so many ways. We have completely disenfranchised people. In comes Barack Obama. Barack Obama then becomes somebody who gives you hope in a better America because he is half Black, born to a Kenyan father and raised by a white woman and her man in Hawaii. Okay, I don't have to get into that. But they give him that, right? They give us that guy, the junior senator, right? Very little experience. Hillary Clinton, far more experience, but whatever. Okay, we're going to let that be what it is. Whatever, come on. First time he comes through, no same-sex marriage, none of that bullshit. He says, I promise I'm going to codify Roe v. Wade for you. Vote for me, and I'm going to do it. Gets in, doesn't do it. Here we are. Now Roe v. Wade has been overturned because he did not do that. He goes in, he becomes the deporter-in-chief. Why? Because he is still acting as an agent of the United States. Make no mistake, anyone in that position is only there to serve the interests and the needs of the United States. But we must understand that President Obama was chosen to be president to make sure that they didn't lose us. And it worked. For many years, it worked. People were so happy to have this so-called Black president, again, raised by a white woman, all right? And I'm not going to get into how African women are the bearers of culture, and it's very different when you're raised by a Black woman versus being raised by a white woman. We'll talk about that. He comes in, deporter-in-chief, bombs everybody that's possibly walking on another continent, and we start thinking, oh, wait. That wasn't exactly what we asked for. That wasn't the change that we wanted to see. Then he comes second. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm back. Anyway, then we get the same-sex marriage. Then we're getting, stuff that people are just kind of like, I'm not really sure that's what I asked for. Yeah, because y'all seem to think that just because you elect a woman or elect somebody who isn't fully white, that there's going to be some massive change, as if they are not controlled by the money. I said this on my my Instagram stories. I said, so many of you are taking this whole, I'm going to vote for him, I'm going to hold my nose, and I'm going to vote for the Democrats. But when they get in office, I'm going to hold their feet to the fire. No, you won't. You can't afford to. You don't have money. I don't care. You make six figures. You don't have money. Six figures is nothing. You have no money. And without money, you cannot influence any politician. I don't care how fucking progressive they claim to be. They are all bought and sold. So none of us actually have money to bring about legislative changes, policy changes, any of those kinds of things. K Street exists for a reason. Lobbyists exist for a reason. Okay. Where is the money? So when it comes to Senator, I keep wanting to call her Senator Harris. And I had to sit and think with, why do I continue to call her Senator Harris? And it's because she has done nothing as a vice president to make it stand out and resonate with me that she is the vice president. But that's a whole other story. What we are dealing with right now is a course correction, right? So Biden was a bit of a course correction because the Trump shit, it was like, no. They realized, yeah, they put him there and because he was supposed to be a course correction for Obama. And he kind of was, right? Because he awakened the racist that has been, living in damn near every American home, but he encouraged them to become more bold with it, right? So the way that he has presented himself, which all of us from New York who were born and raised in New York know that this man is a clown, he's a buffoon, he has nobody respects him or whatever. But he came, and the whole COVID thing, if it wasn't for COVID, I think he would have probably had a second term, right? Biden is the course correct, but it didn't really work because Biden's a racist piece of shit himself. Okay, let's not forget those allegations of sexual harassment and violence. So we're not even going to talk about that. But it didn't matter. Trump awakened what they needed him to awaken. And I want everybody to remember that the Tea Party existed and still kind of does. They call themselves MAGA, but that's just the uneducated arm of the Tea Party. And I hate to say it that way, but the Tea Party, MAGA is MAGA is the Tea Party that hates people that went to college because even though they really wanted to go to college, they couldn't get in and they couldn't afford it. And so they're kind of jealous and resentful towards the people that went to college. That's MAGA versus the Tea Party. Never forget Paul Ryan. Never forget Paul Ryan. I don't know why we have. But, you know, so that Trump was a course correction for Obama, because how dare you all elect an N-word? Like, what were you thinking? You know, oh, the United States, they keep saying they're not ready, but they are ready. And look, we elected a black man twice. And look at where we are now because we elected a black man twice. They tried to overthrow the damn government, okay? They stormed the Capitol. People died. So many people injured, nearly lost their lives because we elected Barack Obama. Random acts of violence. Increase in public racial violence, okay? Increase in anti-Semitism. Now you've got these Proud Boys and these Nazis and the new KKK, marching under banners everywhere they want. No pushback, no nothing. You know, like, just whatever they want to do. And they will continue to do that. Now, when I say to people, you know, if she wins, I'm cleaning my guns. If she loses, I'm cleaning my guns. Well, I'm actually cleaning them now this summer, but I'm going to be prepared because either way, it's going to be a fucking shit show. Now, I do believe, I think she might be the course correct. So I do think that there's a good chance that she's going to win. And here's why I think she might win. I'm not going to vote for her. But I do think that she's going to win because, again, we have reached that point where it was Biden versus Trump. And the populace is disillusioned and they can't afford for us to be disillusioned, right? So they need to bring us back. They put her in because Biden wasn't really doing it. But even with her, she still wasn't getting that injection of support that they were hoping. They thought, well, we'll put her up there. She's black and Indian. We'll replace him and have it. And that'll invigorate people. And it actually didn't. You had a few days where people were on their calls and raising funds and all stuff. Not like she fucking needed any of it because she inherited all the money that he had raised. So y'all got on those calls to raise all that damn money when you could have gotten together to raise that money for families that need food and healthcare and all these other kinds of things. But you don't know how to organize and get together for that because you're all selfish. But that's okay. Did all that. But then we had to remind folks that this woman said that from the time she was a child, planting trees for Israel, she has been committed, and this is almost verbatim, she has been committed to supporting Israel's right to exist and defend itself. That's what she said. I've shown you all the clip. I can do it again if you want to. So how are we supposed to trust that there's going to be any kind of radical change? Well, we know there won't be any radical change because it's Democrats. But they had to do something else. And that's where Walz comes in. That's where Walz comes in. Walz comes in as that guy who brings you, he's fun, right? He's cute. He's got that Aries energy. He's a big cheerleader. He's going to smile a lot. He's going to make some off color and off the cuff jokes, right? Supports Prince, coming out of Minnesota. People are going to look at, George Floyd. I mean, honestly, he's picked because of George Floyd. I hope people understand that, right? Not because of this other school teacher shit or whatever. She can't get the Free Palestine people on her side. She can't. And the people that are voting for her, that are like happy and just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, are not Free Palestine people, right? But she needs us because they just saw how, look at the uncommitted, right? All the votes. I actually voted for the uncommitted. The amount of votes that they were getting in some of these elections, some 20, 25% of the vote, that is terrifying. And the Dems got really scared that we might pull this out. And so they said that we got to find somebody who may appeal to the same group of folks that are protesting for Free Palestine. They were probably the same people that were protesting on behalf of George Floyd and his family and, for police reform. Maybe if we pick the guy who was from Minnesota, who was down there with the people as they were protesting, maybe we'll lure them in. It's not working. We're not tripping. I made a joke on Threads and Instagram where I said they almost got me, and I posted the Prince stuff, and I was joking because no, I'm not easy like that. A lot of folks are. A lot of you are. It'll take one little thing like that, and that'll sway you to vote. But if you weren't going to vote for Biden, I don't understand why you're voting for Harris, other than the fact that she is half Black, half Indian, and first generation, and she's a woman. Because her platform is the same. It's the exact same thing as Biden. She's a little bit younger or whatever, but you're voting for her for identity politics. You are not voting for her based on platform issues if you were not going to vote for Biden. If you were one of those people that was like, I don't want to vote for another old white guy, but then Kamala comes and you're like, I'm going to vote for her, they have the same platform. They have the same stance on Palestine, and they have the same stance on every other fucking thing that we're doing. She has not made any indication whatsoever that she is left of him, okay? Or that she has any ideas or policies that are different from what he was doing. You said her administration is going to keep the same program they've been on since they got into office. Absolutely. So just admit it to yourself. And I'm not mad at that because honestly, I don't understand why that doesn't happen more often. Vote for somebody because they're Black. I mean, fuck it. Stop trying to be all diplomatic. Stop trying to make it look like, but they were like, oh, he didn't want to endorse her because he didn't want to be a kingmaker. Be a fucking kingmaker. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Hundreds of years of enslavement, rape, torture, murder of African people in these Americas. And you want to sit there and say, we're going to play by the rules. We're going to do this the right way so they can't say anything about us. They can't say we were cheating. They're going to say that shit any fucking way. So go ahead and do it. They've been doing it. These white folks been doing this. They have used cronyism, nepotism. They've lied their way to the top. They have slept their way to the top. They have bought people, okay? They've bought and sold politicians. They've been doing that forever. That's how this country is run. Why all of a sudden are Black folks expected to be all prim and proper and follow the fucking rules? No, Obama, past nigga in charge. You are supposed to crown the next nigga in charge. That is your fucking job. That is what your ancestors are calling you to goddamn do. But you don't have no connection to that shit because your daddy abandoned your mama and you was raised by a white woman on the beach. Anyway, I'm so glad that you all joined me today. I will do this, as the spirit moves me. I like this new format. I think you all say that it's cool too, right? Okay, so I'm going to be able to do this way that I can stream it on YouTube and I can put it on Instagram and I can capture folks in different spaces. So thank you. Really appreciate y'all. See you next time.